GamingBolt presents 15 games that were marketed on absurd gameplay features. For every AAA title that promises cutting-edge graphics and action-packed set pieces, there are games that have functioned a bit, well, differently. It's not that they deviated too far from the norm, but there are those few gameplay features that are so strange and at times so absurd that you wonder how they were greenlit. Some worked and others didn't. Let's go over 15 such games here. Fortnite Battle Royale. Epic Games' Fortnite may have seemed like a cartoonish zombie defense game, but Fortnite Battle Royale is another pot of Battle Royale insanity altogether. Rocket riding, which saw players fire rockets and surf on them to rain death from above, was only the beginning. From there, the game incorporated guided missiles, shopping carts as pseudo-vehicles, a game mode that lets players become Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, and so much more. Katamari Damacy. Use a giant magical ball to roll over things so that the king of all cosmos can remake the stars and constellations. If Katamari Damacy doesn't immediately grab or confuse you with its premise, nothing would. Despite how outlandish it all is, the game works surprisingly well as an action puzzler. Players are challenged to gather various things, starting with smaller objects and eventually usurping mountains and skyscrapers. It's insane, but it's fun in a whimsical way. Space Channel 5. Ulala, a stylish reporter armed with ray guns, isn't your average heroine. Then again, Morolians forcing people to dance all over the galaxy from a space station isn't your average adventure. Using the power of rhythmic gameplay, you'll either outdance the aliens or shoot them. Perhaps more surprisingly is the fact that this isn't the weirdest Sega game of the Dreamcast generation. Elite Beat Agents. Inspired by Osu Tatake Oenden, the handheld Japanese series that was somehow more ridiculous, Elite Beat Agents westernized the rhythmic, touch-focused concept. That didn't change the fact that super secret agents devoted to dancing away the troubles of the populace was frickin' absurd. Seriously, helping a baseball player battle a fire-breathing golem with baseball equipment by dancing? Elite Beat Agents simply replaced Asian Kung Fu generation with the likes of Avril Lavigne and Ashley Simpson. Vanquish. Subtlety isn't the strongest trait of Platinum Games, especially when it was releasing action games like Vanquish. At a time when third-person shooters with cover-based mechanics were still fairly popular, Vanquish challenged the player to do more. It wanted them to rocket slide over obstacles, leap over them in slow motion, somersault kick enemies, and play in style. Even with its awkward story and dialogue, Vanquish remains a cult classic to this day. Shenmue. For Yu Suzuki, Shenmue wasn't just the next big thing, it was another world for players to get lost in. Taking place in Japan, Shenmue relied on super realistic aspects like day and night cycles, NPCs with schedules, performing menial jobs, and building relationships. Even the gameplay was pretty QTE-centric, thus promoting a more cinematic style of gameplay at the time. Wii Fit. Nintendo's Wii Fit achieved great success by asking one simple question. How many different ways could players balance on a piece of plastic? With the Wii Balance Board, players would perform strength training and aerobics. Then it was later discovered through various studies that, shock of all shocks, actual exercise was better for one's health. Majestic. Have you ever wanted to play a game that calls you about danger? How about one that mails and messages you on AOL, coaxing you to visit websites to reveal various secrets? Strange as it sounds, this describes Majestic, a conspiracy-laden game that utilizes real-world communication tools and ARG to tell its story. It ultimately failed, but hey, points for trying. Pokemon Go. It sounded like a fantasy, and even when Pokemon Go was confirmed, the premise seemed too good to be true. Walking around, finding and catching Pokemon in the real world to raise them as your own, joining gyms and working with other players. Of course, despite all the server issues, annoying changes, and so on, Pokemon Go has become a dream come true for many players, and a real jackpot for Nintendo, of course. Brutal Legend. When Brutal Legend was first announced, it seemed like everything we never knew we wanted. Double Fine Productions as developer, Jack Black voicing the protagonist, an extensive rock soundtrack. Hell yes! Of course, the actual hack-and-slash nature of the game then gave way to a real-time strategy aspect with unit commanding, resource gathering, and other such, inducing factors. Beat Saber. Recently released virtual reality title Beat Saber is exactly what it sounds like. Using a pair of beam sabers, the player must slice through colored blocks in sync with various tunes like Yaroslav Beck's Escape. In between, dodging obstacles by ducking and moving to the side is essential. It's like Kinect Star Wars, except nothing like Kinect Star Wars and actually fun. Speaking of which, Kinect Star Wars. Marketed on smoke and mirrors presentations that was itself headlined by Cirque du Soleil, Kinect Star Wars was an amalgamation of terrible ideas. Aside from pretending to be a Jedi, players could motion control a Rancor and destroy various locales, or they could dance to popular pop songs with Star Wars lyrics and characters doing awkwardly named Star Wars moves. Steel Battalion. Capcom's Steel Battalion wanted players to experience the sensation of controlling a giant walking mech, aka vertical tank. They wouldn't do this with a traditional controller though. Instead, Steel Battalion launched with limited quantities of a massive controller with joysticks and roughly 40 buttons for controlling their VT. The concept worked, the controller was sold out, though it saw a limited worldwide re-release later. No More Heroes. No More Heroes challenges players to become the best assassin in the world by battling the world's leading killers. This is achieved with a beam saber, but takes place in an open city where protagonist Travis Touchdown must mow lawns, dodge obstacles, and even partake in shooting minigames. Oh, and did we mention the actual bosses range from a sweet Lolita dress-wearing, baseball-wielding maniac to Travis's estranged Irish-American brother. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. Everything about Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, from its name to its overall gameplay, seems ridiculous. Imagine controlling super deformed versions of famous Capcom fighters, but the actual fight involves lining up blocks on a Tetris grid and clearing them. This sends copious amounts of blocks to the opponent's screen, and if they can't clear those in time, they lose. The core concept is competitive Tetris, but taken to an over-the-top extreme, with fireballs, super moves, and other attacks being acted out while fat stacks of blocks drop. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.